let you put it back in.
You have heard that it was said to those of old, "You shall not murder, and whoever murders will be liable of judgment." But I say to that everyone who is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. Whoever insults his brother will be liable to the council, and whoever says "you fool" will be liable to the hell of fire. So you are offering your gift at the altar, and there you remember that your brother has something against you. Leave your gift there before the altar. First, reconnaissance to your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Come to terms quickly with your accuser while you are going with him to court, lest your accuser hand you over to the judge, and the judge to the guard, and you will be put in prison. Truly I say to you, you will never get out until you have paid the last penny.
Well done. Let's give him a hand. You might want to check if somebody read. Anger. We all have it. Today, we're on the Sermon on the Mount. And Al Zach and Al Hofstetter know what the Sermon on the Mount was. It was Jesus' first message. And we're going to stay on this Sermon on the Mount all the way through the end of chapter 7. Why? Because it was vital teaching. Vital for each and every one of us. From Brandon to Andrea to each and every one of us. So this morning, I ask you to get in tune, get up to speed here with a couple of ideas. All the Beatitudes, we're talking about grace. If Shirley has peace, she will see the kingdom. If Dawn, shows righteous acts, she will see the kingdom of God. All of these things are for Betty and Jack and Herb, all of us, things that God, characteristics He wants us to have. Now the tides are turning, and Jesus is now telling Jason and Lily things to look out for. We know the characteristics we're supposed to have, and Jesus, in a very loving way, is now taking 6 specific commandments, and He's going to go from "thou shalt not murder," which is the 6th commandment, and He's going to take it and He's going to apply it to Oliver's life, to Uncle Philip's life, to Mike's life, to all of us. So we need to pay attention to what is important with Jesus. You see, in these Beatitudes, in this Sermon on the Mount, it's what the Pharisees, the way they did it, they always did to the letter of the law, but not the spiritual meaning. In other words, most of us this morning can go, "You know what, Betty? I've never murdered anybody. I'm off the hook. No problem. Thou shalt not murder. Brandon and I don't have a murder rap, okay?" But Jesus, yes, you're exactly right. Big George says it's way more than that, as it is with all the commandments. And that's where the rubber meets the road for us this morning. It is not about the letter of the law. It is about the spiritual meaning. What does it mean for Aaron to not murder? He hasn't murdered anyone, so why does this apply? It applies to each and every one of us this morning, and that's where we're going. We want to know the spiritual meaning. What is Jesus really getting at with here this morning? What is the spirit of this law? What does Jesus really want from Jack and Carol? Let's begin. Verse 21. You have heard that it was said of those of old. Those of old are the old Jewish leaders, the Pharisees, the scribes, the Sadducees, the Zealots, all of them. Because remember, they were basically the only ones that could read. Now where it gets interesting is when Jesus is preaching on the Sermon on the Mount, okay, he is making new gospel, obviously. Everything is being written down eventually. So this is brand new. But the Israelite people didn't know the Old Testament language anymore. It was written in Hebrew. When they were in Babylon, they spoke Aramaic. For 70 years, they were in Babylon. So Hebrew, they didn't really know Hebrew. It's like me in Spanish. I know about 10 words. So bearing that in mind, Jesus starts out saying, you know, in the old days, so to speak, you know this commandment, thou shalt not murder. And so everybody here, you can imagine them and us here today, well, I finally got something I can do. I've never murdered. And isn't it interesting? Did you ever think of this? The first casualty. Eve sinned when she bit into that fruit and handed it to Adam. But look how long it took man to murder. 4 chapters, book of Genesis. Adam and Eve's son, one of them, the word in Hebrew is butchered the other son. Why? Because he got jealous. Why? Because Cain brought the grain. Abel brought the animal. And God enjoyed Cain's more. Jealousy, anger, which led to murder. I saw a statistic. There's about 7 murders in our country. But that's actually a really good percentage compared to other places in the world. About 27,000 murders are committed yearly. But Jesus isn't talking about murder today. He's talking about something Josie and I need to work on. What is it? You have been told that it was said to those of old, you shall not murder. And whoever murders is liable to judgment. Now, here's where the fun begins. Because most of us, I'll try not to pick on you, Shirley. Okay? Most of us are sitting there going, I'm off the hook. There was the man in 1931. His name was Crowley. Now remember 31. We're 2 years after the stock crash. Okay? The depression is just setting in. Everybody's poor. Okay? But the farmers, we're not starving yet. But in 1931, there was an outlaw named Crowley. And he was a bad, bad man. He ended up dying in his girlfriend's apartment in South Chicago. And he had not only murdered a policeman, he had murdered several innocent people. Okay? His name was Crowley. When they found him, they shot him. And inside his coat was a note. And he said, if you find this, I am dead. But know this, deep down inside, I'm a really good person. Seriously, that's what he wrote. But you know, the sad thing is, most of us think with our sinful hearts that we're really good people, Don. And that's what Jesus is talking to Patricia about this morning and everybody else sitting here. We deep down think, Big George, we're really good people. But remember this. On Judgment Day, it's not what I told the 2 Bettys. It's what was in my heart that I will be judged on. Let's go on. That's what Jesus is getting at. That is this, what is the spiritual aspect of thou shalt not murder? We're going to get to it right away. And whoever murders will be liable to judgment. And all of us are going, well, doesn't apply to me. I'm cool. Don't say that too quick. Okay? Because Jesus is talking more about that word murder. And here it comes. Verse 22 is where we're going to park the bus for the majority of your message this morning. Okay? So what I'd like to do, verse 22, is I'd like to have us read the whole verse. Hopefully you can see it. All right? But read it with me that Oliver so purposely, in a very good way, read for us. Let's say it again. Okay? Here we go. But I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. Whoever insults his brother will be liable to the council, and whoever says, "You fool," will be liable to the hell of fire. Thank you. Jesus is now taking "thou shalt not murder" to the deepest thoughts in our mind. He has taken this very law and he's about to go into what Brandon thinks about during the day, what Lily, Al Hofstadter, whatever. He's going to that level with all of us. But I say to you, in other words, don't misunderstand this. Listen very intently. Are you listening to me right now? Is what Jesus is saying, and we've got to grab onto it. It's not complicated, but it's very serious, Aaron, that we hear it. Josie, that we apply it to our lives right here and right now. Everyone who is angry. What? We have went to murder, and now he's went to anger. Why? What is the simplest term for anger? I was trying to figure this out to explain it in my... What's the simplest form? How do you tie anger into murder? Real simple. Anger is murder in the heart. Anger is murder to our heart. What will we be judged with someday? Every thought, every jot, every tittle. We did that last week. We will be judged on. Betty, I don't want any part of an angry heart because that is against the sixth commandment, Shelley. Anger is murder in the heart. What do you think when Cain was killed? When Cain killed Abel, do you think he was just having... No, it was the anger. It was what caused it. And you and me, from Jason to Carol to Philip, all of us have had anger in our hearts. He has ratcheted murder, taken anger and ratcheted up to murder for us right here and right now. You want another simple way, Dawn, to think of anger? Bless you. Anger in Mike Korb and in Bill Richards is a destroyer. It's not a builder-upper. Now, when Aaron, left tackle, right? Right tackle. Left guard. Sorry, left guard. Alvino is left tackle. So we got a right guard and a left tackle. One of them they actually named a deodorant after. Okay? But when they're lined up and they see that guy over there who's stopping their team from moving forward, there is resentment. There is anger to a point of, I want to knock you on your tail. Thank you, Don. That wasn't the word I had. Tail. Boy, is all anger wrong? No, it's called righteous anger. Remember this. We've got to get this straight before we keep going any further. Righteous anger. Remember, Jesus goes in 7 days before he's crucified, and he goes into the temple, and what does he see in the basement? The money changers. Okay? And they're selling because Patricia and Oliver show up to do their yearly sacrifice, and they're not carrying a pigeon 30 miles. They'll buy the pigeon at the church. They go into the church, and the 10-cent pigeon is now being sold for 30 cents. And Jesus sees this. Remember, what's he do? He makes a whip, and he drives them out. That is righteous anger. Paul tells us, be angry, but do not sin. Okay? Many of us were very angry when not only Charlie Kirk was murdered, but these people, these wicked people, were celebrating. Is it wrong to be angry at those people? Absolutely, positively not. That's wickedness. Now, do we want to jump into the fire pit with them? No, but that's righteous anger. Psalm 7:11, I think it is, says God is angry at the wicked every day. Now, we don't walk around seeking anger, but we need to know, Big George was the first one to say, yes, there is righteous anger. When we see the craziness of the Charlie Kirk thing and what people did and the backlash, and let's me and you this morning take anger and see why Jesus doesn't want us to have any part of it. And I tell you the easy thing, what we're going to find out is it's going to be easy to put somebody in your mind, he's talking about so-and-so. No, I'm not. I'm talking about me. And you be thinking about you when we get into this a little bit further. Anger is a killer. Why? Because Mike and I want to destroy somebody rather than build them up. We want to destroy this church. We want to destroy the state of Nebraska. We want to destroy all the good things Charlie Kirk brought. No! But let's deal with ourselves and nobody else. I say to you, everyone who is angry with his brother. Now, this is where it gets dicey. Brother means what? A fellow believer. Okay? The people that were bad-mouthing Charlie are celebrating his death. Those aren't brothers and sisters in Christ. Judgment upon them? No. This is dealing with believers. Okay? Anyone who is angry with his brother is liable to judgment. You. Have you been angry, Jason? What's this last week? I don't know if they're a believer or not. I'll ask you, Herb, have you been angry with somebody this last week? Have I been angry with somebody last week? And I can answer yes. Yes, I was. On Monday, I was very angry. But each one of us needs to apply what Jesus is saying. And why is he saying it? Because we are at the deepest core of our lives. Shelley can be the most model citizen of South Dakota they've ever had. But if she harbors anger in her heart, she's a murderer. All of us, we don't want any part of anger. Okay? We got that, so let's move on. They'll be liable to the council. In other words, they'll be called up. They will be in trouble for being angry, but it gets worse, or shall I say, better. Look what it says next. Whoever insults his brother will be liable to the council, and whoever says you fool, now some of your translations will say raka, you fool, to the hell of fire. What in the world is going on? There's 2 levels here of hate? Yes, there is. The first one is anger. The second one is what? Slander. Raka, you fool, means you idiot, you stupid person. And I don't know about you, but I probably deserved it, Janet, but I've been called an idiot once in a while. You're an idiot. Why is that worse than anger? Why is slander? Why do Al, Betty, and Bill never want to slander anybody? It's very easy, okay? The Jews had an old parable. And the parable was of this young, brilliant rabbi who went to class that day, and the elder rabbi who was teaching, okay, was calling upon him, and man, he answered every question correctly. Al Hofstadter and I would have been going, huh? And this guy was nailing them. Boom, 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 boom. And the class is over. And everybody is looking at the young rabbi like, wow, he's brilliant. Wow, 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 wow. And he walks home. This is a Jewish parable. And he walks home, but before he gets home, he runs into a young man who isn't dressed very good, and the Jews really, and he's not real bright. And he smells. And he's not very bright. And somehow, walking down the side, walking down the path, this man and him have an encounter, and he says, Alvino, immediately to him, you fool, Raka. And the stupid man who stumbled in front of him, or whatever he did, simply says this. Do you realize who created me? Do you realize this is the way he made me? And you call me a fool? I can remember my mother saying to me as a child, or yesterday, whatever, don't call them stupid. But mother, do you know what? Don't call them stupid, because who created them? When you slander someone, okay, number one, what are you doing? You're judging them. Number two, why is slander so bad? It's very, very easy. Listen, let me tell you the definition of slander first, okay? I went into this is the New Webster. Definition number one. Slander / malice. A desire, now we're trying to think, why is slander worse than anger? A desire to cause injury to someone else. Especially when backed up by pure meanness. You and I both know mean people. They say things like, you're a man of God, you're stupid, you're an idiot, your dog's fat and so are you, whatever, just mean people. But now listen to this second one. This is slander. Why is slander worse than anger? Here we go. An evil intent on the part of a person who commits a wrongful act that causes injury to someone else. You see, if this is a person and I'm angry at that person, I'm committing murder in my heart. But if I say that person is an idiot or not a Christian and I have no right to judge them, what am I doing? I'm attacking God's creation. I am judging God's creation. Don't slander anybody. I don't care if you have 5 pieces of evidence. Don't slander them. Ever. You have no right to judge. Okay? And the consequences of slander, look at the difference. One is brought in front of the council. The slanderer goes straight to hell. Be very, very careful of what you say. Slander. What's the opposite of slander? Goodwill. Being benevolent. Helping people. Loving on people. Slander comes into your heart. I'm going to use you in a good example. I'm going to try to use you in a good example. Shirley and I are both angry at this person because after they crashed into my car, they crashed into Shirley's.